system. You can issue out through the handheld, and you can also issue out, of course, through our stock system here. But you'll notice, let's review the header here. Basically, what goes on the header is the warehouse you're shipping from. You know, we capture who created it, when it was modified, and who you're shipping to, okay, and who to bill. And then we have, you know, we have field customer POs and invoice numbers and all of that. Now, these screens are also manageable. So if you go into the custom button, you can change fields, you can add fields, you can do whatever you need to do. Okay, so not everybody has the same view of an order header. Some order headers are very simple, some order headers are very elaborate. This is basically just our standard order header, but you do control that as well. Okay, so when it comes time to issue, we go over here and we start issue. Now what I'm going to do is I'm going to do a load all, and what it should do, it should break this to 2 lines because each one is a serialized part. Right. I hope it doesn't make a liar out of me, but let's do that. That's it. So it picks 66, 67. So now we can finish the issue.
Now, does that allow you to pick on your own?
Yeah, you can pick on your own.
Okay. The way that it works for us is since each rep, in addition to selling, they're out there trying to search for equipment. Mm-hmm. So each rep will own what they buy. And okay. So what'll happen is if they're selling something, they'll want to sell their own inventory first, if they have the product, before they sell another rep's inventory.
Right.
So that's where the way that the terms the program uses that we use is, so first they go in and they create the sales order, and then they'll go in and allocate it. So right. It'll open up, if it was 5 hard drives, kind of like what you just showed, it'll open that up, and then they can go and select which drives they want to allocate to that particular order.
Yeah. How many reps do you have?
What do we got out there? About a dozen. I think the total, we're right now we're between 40 and 50 for employees right now.
Okay.
And there's probably a dozen, 15 sales reps, I think, somewhere around there.
Okay.
So we could do some filtering based on the user record, right, Ben, or different.
Yeah, you could. Yeah. Well, I'm trying to think what the best way to, if we wanted to give them a view of their own data. It really wouldn't be on a user record. It'd be kind of like the supplier or customer filter. Do you have actual? Go ahead, Ben.
You could even do a virtual warehouse. You know, we talked about those virtual warehouses.
Right, I was thinking about that. You could set up, you know, a dozen warehouses that, you know, each of your representatives has control over, and they can put their own stock in there.
Yeah,
right. And if you look at,
I believe we do some filtering now where I think they, what they do is you can control, like on, for instance, on sales orders, they can control it where I think a rep can only see their own orders. But I believe everybody can see everything in the inventory as far as that goes, so that they can, like if they're quoting, you know, they'll want to go out and look and see what we have.
Yeah.
So yeah, it's mainly just used when they select, when they go to allocate the part, having the ability to choose which ones that they want to do. As long as they can do that, that's really all that's needed.
Yeah, they can do that. I mean, if I were to just do this. Got 8 in here. Say 1, you know, this is just a direct issue, so I can go in here and I can say, well, I want to choose this one. Now, what we could do is if when they receive it in, if they use the remark column and put their name in there, you know, we could add that to the screen where they could see the parts that they added into the system, because that will follow an inventory item around. There are certain fields that go along with inventory, and remark is one of them. So, you know, we could change a lookup easily enough. Again, it's in the database to show the remarks column, and then you could use that as for tagging, you know, specific parts. And basically, it's a wide open text field, so you could put whatever you want in there.
Okay. Yeah, because the way it's tracked right now is there's a field in a purchase order for the rep, so that that's selected when they create the purchase, and then that's how the system will know when it gets received whose it is.
Yeah, we have that as well. We have on the purchase order side. Let me see. If we go into the header, where is it? See, we have a field. I don't think anything's enabled on the. Yeah, we have a buyer right here, so you could use buyer actually.
Okay.
You know, we could use the buyer field, specify that links back to the employee table. So you can set up in the system all your sales reps in the employee table and give them buyer status, and they would show up in that drop-down box, and that'd be what you tag in the PO to them.
Okay.
Okay.
The other thing.
Yeah, go ahead.
The other thing that's a little unique that we're not seeing in most off-the-shelf packages is I've heard it. We refer to it a little differently, but I've seen what people refer to it as kitting.
Yep.
And we kind of do it from a reverse standpoint a lot of times, but we have it both ways. But what we can do is, let's say you get a server in, and they may buy it and not necessarily know exactly the part numbers of what's inside.
Mm-hmm.
So it might just be bought as a server with a one line item. And then what can be done after the fact is we can do what's called a breakdown. So what we might do is that one server may turn into a server, an empty server, memory, a processor, various other things. And what we can do with that now, we can do a breakdown, in a breakdown what happens is the original item is gone from inventory, and we tell it what we want to make it into. So you could say, okay, I've got these 5 parts that I want this inventory item to turn into now, and you can assign the amount of dollar value that you want so that it adds up to the original cost, and the rep will decide, okay, I want to put this much on this, da. And so that's what's called a breakdown for us, and that's something that that happens often where we're doing things like that. The other thing that we do that's kind of in the same boat, but not exactly, is a part removal. So for instance, there's something inside of an item that we need to take out to sell it.
Mm-hmm.
And what we can do is the original item's still going to be in inventory, but we do a part removal to where, in essence, what it ends up doing is on that purchase, it creates another line item. And what it does is whatever money is put on the new line item is subtracted from the original line. And so that sometimes is done. And part of what that is, if the value is going to be reduced on the original item because we've now sold something out of it that has value. So those are kind of the two things from that way. And then as far as kind of like on the kitting side, we do have times where we might do a build up where a customer wants to buy a configured server. So we will take the different items out of inventory, the server, the memory, whatever that this customer wants, and we can build that up into just one unit. And what it'll do is it'll put all those into a part number and add all the dollar values into that.
Now that we can do for you. Okay, so we do support kitting and we support work orders for creating assemblies. Those other two scenarios you talked about, we don't have that in our system. That's not to say we couldn't build it into it.
Yep.
Kind of use kitting as the, you know, the front for it, but actually tie it back into inventory. But that would require some work, you know.
Yep. That's kind of what that's what we're seeing pretty much from everybody, that, that they would have to do some customization to make that work for us.
We have work orders here. This again is built from an iPod. Okay, so you know we have a bill of materials that supports that. And you specify the components that go in it, and then we actually create it. Let me go back to work orders. Target. Let's see, 1,000. Let me see. Yeah, I don't have everything. Oh, I don't have everything in stock. Let me bring a couple things in, and then we'll issue out against this work order. So if I go into inventory, I receive stock. I'm going to do this face later. Bring it into finished goods. And I'll bring in 1,000 pieces, and I'll just receive it. Okay, so again, you know, when you receive, you have the opportunity to print labels. These again are custom labels, so we can make them any size or shape you want. So if I go back into work order, and I go to assemble this unit, okay, now I need to open it up because it's to open it up makes it available for issuing against. And do I have, let me check because I'm going to need a default location for this guy, iPod, because it would automatically create it and put it in inventory. iPod DCB, DCB60, right? Default location, finished goods. Okay, so we should be good to go. Okay, so hopefully this won't make a liar out of me either. So items, and you can see now that I have a button here that says assembled.
Okay.
So what I'm going to do is assemble one, and it's going to ask me how many units I want to create. I'll say one. Oh, I have an issue. This gets to people all the time. If you leave the issue screen without completing it, it gets saved, and it only allows on one transaction at a time.
Okay.
I need to go in and clear this out first. So I'm just going to delete this out because I was just showing you how to randomly pick. Okay, so now that's clear. If we go into orders, and I do this again, assemble, yes, one, okay. So what it does is it brings everything into the issue grid again, okay? And I can do the load all. And I'll find it in inventory and change the location. Okay, there was one that was in finished good, not in the receiving dock. And then I just, or you could put a pick list at this point. I don't know why that says that, but we'll have to look at that. And then I'll just finish the issue. Now what happens is the raw materials that go into it get consumed, of course, and then, you know, the finished good is created. So again, everything we do in the system is audited. So we keep a running tally during the course of the day. You can see from today's activity. And it shows you here, right here, that we received this finished good on this part number, and it automatically assigned it a serial number. And then it issued out all the stock that went in.
Okay.
It tells you who did the work. So if we go back to the work order now, it shows that we assemble one against this. So you can actually have blanket work orders out in the system, you know, if you wanted to.
Okay.
and just use them as templates for issuing and receiving. As long as everything's set up, so it works seamlessly behind the scenes, you shouldn't have a problem. And when I say that, what I mean is, that those finished goods have to have a default location that actually exists in the warehouse. Because the way our stocking works is if you go into a warehouse, you'll also see that locations are in warehouses too. So this can be from pallets to shelving, but it's where the pickers will go to find the goods to, put on a work order or on a sales order.
Mm-hmm. One of the things, being in a used business like we are, there's really no list pricing for the most part. Things are going to vary quite a bit just on supply and demand and
Mm-hmm.
and how new or old things are and various things. So what happens quite a bit is the reps will look at history to see, the last time we've sold an item and what we sold it for.
Yep.
I imagine you've got that kind of capability to look at old order stuff, right?
We do. We have, I'm not sure we show pricing on the negative adjustment report, but there's no reason why we couldn't. You can get, to shipping orders. Let's see.
Shipping order detail.
Yeah, shipping order detail. Okay, that shows the quantity and the amount pricing. So we have that. Do we have it on the negative adjustment report too, Zach?
I don't know, but it can easily be added.
Yeah, I'm just going to do a quick check and see if we do.
I think it's under issue stock at the.
Yeah, I always get confused there. Negative adjustment amounts. Yep, we have it on the negative adjustment reports. And all these reports are filterable. So, again, you can do an IPOL C-B-FP. And that'll filter down for you. So yeah, you can, it's there, if it's not exposed, we can expose it, but it looks like it is, so you should be okay.
Okay, yeah, how it's kind of set up for us now is we have our current inventory list, which display everything in current inventory, or you can display it by, if you want to just see one part number, or, we can do the different things like that, which pretty much is the same. And then we also have our inventory history list, which is the same type of thing where you go back, display the same kind of information. But what happens when an item is on an order, it gets moved from current to history. And so then we can do the same kind of looking at the things there. But as far as there's actually a function where you can go into buy sell history and put in an item number and say, okay, so I've got part ABC, and you can search on that in a, I want to make sure I'm giving you the right information here. Well,
that's basically what we did here. It shows when
I think it's
it
pretty
went
much the same.
out. Yeah.
Yep.
It shows it went out on a shipping order issue, or it was consumed by work order. So yeah, all the data's there. It's just how you want to see it. And again, we just go basically if you need certain elements that we're not showing, we just go in here and modify the query, and you got it. So
it sounds to me pretty much like what it is as long as it's something you've already got in a field for in your database, it sounds like you can pretty much create whatever you need from that as long as it's already there in, there's already that field there in it.
Right.
Okay.
Right. We have a number of transaction tables. We record, like I said, we capture transactions in an audit trail, but, with receipts and issues, we also archive that information in a number of different tables. So, we can generally put together whatever you need based upon, we know what table to go to grab the information out of. The audit trail satisfies a lot of it, but there are certain times where, you know, it came in on a PO and, you know, the MAD-in table, you know, maybe I'm getting too technical here, but the MAD-in table may have other attributes of the actual receipt, like who received it, what it came in on, you know, all of that stuff. And we can go to that and find that information out.
Okay. I'm trying to remember, I looked at this, but do you interact with like the UPS World Ship and FedEx Ship Manager? Is that how you guys do that?
We've done a World Ship interface. I don't think we have it on Inventory Pro Online. We have we do have hooks into FedEx, I think, and UPS with our Navy client. We have the Navy contracts with us, and they do their recruiting offices through us. Okay. And there is a web service that we had set up with FedEx. So long ago, I can't remember how I set it up, but set it up with FedEx, and it's, you know, it's an interactive web service, and they send the order information and they send back tracking numbers. So all of that in the Navy program, probably to get it, you know, to modify it for you wouldn't be a big stretch at all because it's already in place. It's just for one customer uses it.
Yeah, how the shipping is done right now for us is the software interacts with a third-party tool called ShipRush. Mm-hmm. And what it'll do is it basically just brings in the information. So like your address information is brought in and billing information as far as, you know, that kind of stuff. So it's really just there's some fields in the inventory and the sales order that you can say, I'm going to ship this out FedEx Ground under this account number. And then it exports that out into ShipRush when we go to do it. So that's basically all that it really does. And then they have written the software that interacts their program with the FedEx or UPS servers directly.
So you feed ShipRush and they feed FedEx and UPS?
Yep.
Yeah, so I mean, we just have to know what those exports look like, and then we'd have to accommodate it.
Yeah. In IPOL. So but it's not. We do a fair amount of international stuff. And there are some issues we do a lot of third-party billing. For instance, we may have a service company that has parts depots around the world. And so they are based in the UK, for instance, but we might be shipping to their Singapore warehouse, or we might be shipping to the warehouse they have in Australia or wherever. So what happens is there was some problems with doing third-party billing because the account was the UPS account is based in the UK, but it's getting billed to a Singapore thing. So there were some issues with that. So we ended up it's not as much of a problem on the FedEx side, but UPS, there's some issues with that. So that's where we ended up actually using when we ship internationally via UPS, we actually use the UPS World Ship program for that. And that's from the shipping end of things. So it really doesn't, it's just a matter of getting the data out into it. So it's not a big deal.
Does your current software interface with the UPS World Ship?
No,
so you just enter it and then you get the tracking number back from it?
Yep, and then it's just one of those things where then we paste it back in so that the people can see it. So there's some manual stuff we have to do that way, which, it's a pain, but unfortunately with FedEx, it's fairly easy. The way that their systems work is pretty much whatever account number you put in, they'll bill it to that account number. They're fine that way, but with UPS, there's goofy things like where they'll switch it. If you haven't run them end of day, and you go to ship something, it might bill it, change it, and switch it to our account where we don't want it billed to our account just because it hasn't been already transmitted to their servers when the driver picks it up, type of thing. And UPS got some goofy billing issues that we deal with all the time, but yeah, that's mainly just a thing of getting data out to it, so it's not really a big deal there. Do you interface with e-commerce stuff directly?
We interface with BigCommerce. We have a BigCommerce interface that we run.
Okay, that's what we use for our website.
Yeah. Yeah, we set one up for, geez, who did I set that up for? Team Wendy, I think.
Team Wendy.
Yeah. Yeah,
Okay.
they use it. We have it.
Okay, because right now we're doing that manually too, where we have to, we just have to keep track of our daily inventory on items that we have out there, and if there's changes. So what we really end up doing is we just do daily reports on changes of items, and then if something has changed, they've got to go out and make sure that they've updated our quantities and stuff. So that's done manually right now, and we're looking to try to integrate that in too. So
I think we'll, yeah.
okay.
The other thing we could do is give your partners login access so that they can see inventory levels. You know, I don't know if how you do that now, but you could, you know, because it's browser based, you could create a partner group and then let partners log in and see your active inventories.
Yeah, what we do now is, as far as the broker to broker stuff, there's a site called Broker Bin, and what they do is the reseller brokers like us, they all will have accounts that they've set up, and so what'll happen is we daily upload our inventory, and there's some that are real time. We had tried it at one point to do it real time, but we had issues with that too. So, so what that does is it allows, if we need a part or somebody else needs a part, you'll type in the part number out on Broker Bin, and it'll say who's got what and the condition, if they've got new, if they got refurbished, and you know what kind of quantities they have. It has the ability to put in pricing, but you know, since things change so much, you know, there's some people will put pricing out there, other times it's just calling. But what it does is the main part about it is it gives the visibility of other brokers to see who has it, and then a lot of that type of work is actually we end up using a lot of instant messaging just for things like that, where broker to broker contact. A lot of times a rep will get a message, hey, how much do you want for this part? I see you have 10 of these out on Broker Bin, and that type of thing. So. But as far as actual end user customers, I don't know if we'd get to that just because pricing.
Well, yeah, you have that in e-commerce now, so.
That's another question I just thought of. Do you have the ability to have substitutions as far as, like, for instance, say you got a 500 gigabyte hard drive. The customer might ask for, yeah. So as long as you can do that, that's something that sometimes, you know, the customer will ask for exact part numbers only, but a lot of times they're just concerned that it's going to work in their application. And
we have part number aliasing for sure. But you know, setting up a bigger table of alternative parts. I'm trying to think if we have exactly that.
Because how it kind of works right now is when we go into the master list, part of that, there's a table underneath where we can add substitutes of other items in the master list. So we can say this hard drive is this part number, but these are valid substitutes for it, and you can put in these other 5 part numbers of other hard drives that that are functionally the same. And then when they go to allocate, they can specify. It'll start out just showing the exact part numbers, but what there is there's a checkbox where you can click on and say show substitutes, and then at that point, the parts that you're going to select for the order will show whatever substitutes we have in our current inventory also.
Okay.
Sounds like you've got, it's, you've got a
You
lot
have most of it.
there already. It's just a matter of if there's a field available, for stuff that might be custom, where you can use something that maybe we don't need, as that or something like that. It sounds like so. All right.
Right.
I guess what I can do is I can follow up. I have some other questions. I guess I can do some follow-ups now that I have a better understanding of it. We can look at it that way.
I think I recorded most of the meeting, so I'll put it up on YouTube for you.
Okay.
And I believe we sent you the demo account if you want to log in and poke around.
Yeah, I did get an email on that. So yeah, I did start doing that yesterday somewhat. So
we do have a catalog that you can print out. It'll show your items with the barcode catalog. Okay. I don't know if that's of any value to you or not, but
so I actually on this so you can associate a photo with an inventory item number then.
Yep. Yeah, you can have multiple images per item.
Okay.
So if you have a scratch and dent.
Okay.
The only other thing we didn't really show you, and maybe it's at this point not really necessary, is the mobile interface. Oh yeah, Ben's showing you multiple pictures.
Yeah. This is a little icon. Wherever you see the camera icon, you can get an image.
Okay, cool.
And you can upload more. And you can attach them to orders or almost anything you want. There is a mobile interface too, but maybe for this review, it's not necessary to show you that. It's a little bit different. It's intended for smaller screens, smartphones and tablets.
Yeah, I guess that probably the only part where we would maybe use that would be like I know there was one of the other software packages we had looked at. It was like you could, instead of printing out a paper pick list, it could be pulled up a tablet or a smartphone or whatever, and then as you'll scan the barcode that's on it, and then it'll tell you, it's kind of like it'll fill out, okay, you grabbed that part and that's correct. So it's kind of got that kind of thing.
Right. It's the exact same concept.
Okay. Yep. So that is something that is appealing, because that's one of the things now is that if somebody had picked something incorrectly, it goes through the whole process and it might not be caught until it gets to shipping, and then it'd be, hey, this isn't the part on the order. Because at that time is where we actually scan the barcodes of the tags that are on the items that are on that particular order. And so being able to scan stuff initially as it's getting pulled, will probably help eliminate those kind of pulling orders.
Right. Save you some paper and hopefully mistakes.
Yep. Okay. Well, what we're kind of where we're kind of at is we're about a month out of kind of digging deeper into everything. We've got a couple other packages that are similar to your guys that we've looked at, and it's kind of in the same thing. At this point, we've just kind of mainly are just doing high-level overview of what things can be, and then we're thinking about a month from now, we're going to kind of narrow it down and try to look more in detail as to how things would be accomplished to make it do it like we would need it to happen. So that's kind of where we're sitting as far as that goes right now. We're probably sometime in June, hopefully, we'll start taking those next steps.
Okay, great. Just let us know what we can do to help, Craig.
Will do.
Great.
And I think you have pricing listed on the website, right?
Yep, there's a pricing page, and I can send you a price sheet. I can send you more details.
Okay. All right. Very good.
Perfect.
Yeah, I guess as far as from initial views, it looks, I think you guys can do what we need to. So I think we'll